Story 1. The moment my family drove off, leaving me standing alone in my dorm room, a wave of loneliness hit me that was almost tangible. The room was still, thick with a heavy, stale smell of the old, poorly circulated air. Dust motes floated in a single beam of sunlight that pushed through the cracked window. I shook it off, trying to focus on settling in, unpacking my bags, when my roommate, Dale, arrived. He was, simply put, unsettling from the start. When I introduced myself, extending a hand, he stared at it, his face blank as if the gesture itself was foreign. Slowly, a smile twisted his lips, not a warm one, more like the mechanical response of someone who learned to mimic social behavior without really understanding it. Finally, he gave a limp, damp handshake that sent a shiver up my spine. His name was Dale, but I felt a strange reluctance to address him directly, as if maybe you gave him some power. Throughout the afternoon, Dale barely spoke. Any attempts at small talk were met with curt yes or no answers, his responses oddly delayed, as if he had to rehearse the lines in his head before speaking them. His laugh, when it came, was more of a dry, strange sound, echoing too loudly in the silence of the room. By evening, we were both hunched over our laptops, the only sounds of daytime of our computers and an occasional crackling of old wood somewhere deep in the walls, like the house itself was breathing. I decided I'd ask for a different roommate that morning. There was something too strange about him, something that raised the fine hairs on the back of my neck. That first night, sleep evaded me as I lay in bed, watching the shadowy ceiling, my senses percolating at every tiny noise. Around 3 a.m., I heard Dale finally close his laptop. The room now plunged into silence. I hoped for sleep. But not long after, I felt a sudden cold draft, a sensation that made my skin prickle. Glancing toward the window, I noticed the blinds were slightly open, letting in pale slices of moonlight. My gaze shifted, and that's when I saw him, Dale, sitting upright on his bed, his head slightly cocked, staring at me with wide, unblinking eyes. The moonlight made him look ghostly pale, his features almost exaggerated in the dimness. I sat up, a lump forming in my throat as I whispered, Dale. What are you doing? He whispered back, his voice barely audible, sorry, then lay down stiffly, as though someone had pulled his strings and placed him back into position. The following days were no better. Every time I left, I'd return to find Dale exactly where I'd left him. His gaze unwaveringly fixed on his laptop screen, his face lit up by its cold, artificial glow. But, as I stepped in, he seemed to sense my presence without turning, his head angrily in a jerky, mechanical movement. His gaze then lighted a way that felt too intense, like he could see right through me. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just my imagination, but every bone in my body knew better. Story 2. As we continued laughing and catching our breath in my friend's dorm room, the adrenaline began to settle. But something felt off. My friend who had been hit by the branch had a small cut on his cheek, barely bleeding, but noticeable under the flickering fluorescent dorm light. We all brushed it off, agreeing that it must have been some random, deranged person pulling a prank. Still, none of us could shake the cold feeling that had settled in our chests. The next day, we avoided the woods altogether, but our curiosity wouldn't let the incident go. As we shared our story with other students, we learned of an unsettling rumor that years ago, a student had been found dead in those very woods, in the same secluded area where we'd been. Some said he was part of a fraternity facing gone wrong, while others whispered that it had been a murder, a tale buried under campus legends and hidden police reports. We laughed off the superstitions, but even our laughter felt hollow. One night, a week later, I was walking alone back to my dorm when I saw something out of the corner of my eye, a figure, pacing back and forth by the entrance of the woods. I froze, heart hammering, as it slowly turned its head, looking straight at me. Without thinking, I sprinted back to my dorm, the feeling of cold ice on my back persisting all the way. I never looked back, and to this day, I avoid that path after dark. Story 3. I spent the next few days replaying that night over and over in my mind, trying to rationalize what happened. You don't think I dodged a bullet, literally and figuratively. But I couldn't shake the creeping paranoia. Why did that night choose me? Why had we that that bottle. A few weeks later, my roommate and I were walking through campus when we passed a group of freshmen, clearly new to college life and eager to attend every party in sight. As we walked by, I overheard a conversation that made my stomach drop. A girl was talking about a fraternity party she'd gone to a few nights before, describing a dark room she'd woken up in, alone and confused. My roommate and I exchanged looks, chills running down our spines as we realized that it might not have been a one-time incident. We tried to warn others, telling them to avoid that frat, especially after hearing that more students had similar experiences. Rumors started swirling about initiation rituals and house secrets, and one night, the frat house was shut down by the police. I never found out exactly what was going on there, but the memory still haunts me. I often wonder what could have happened to me, and I'm thankful I got out when I did. Story 4. The days that followed were a blur of anxiety. The knocking had stopped, but every creak in the door, every shadow on the wall, made me jump. I confided in a friend, who suggested I report it to campus security, but I felt embarrassed. Who would believe me about knocking, heavy boots, and strange laughter? That night, I decided I'd had enough. I broke the chair under my doorknob, hoping it would bring me some peace. I finally turned it off, but not for long. Just past midnight, a faint scratching started, as if someone was lightly dragging their nails along the door. My heart pounded, each scream resonating louder and louder. Then it stopped, and I heard a soft, guttural chuckle. I mustered the courage to pull the chair away and fling the door open, ready to confront whoever, or whatever, was there. But the hallway was empty, save for a faint, almost undetectable smell of something rotten. It lingered, creeping into my room and settling in the corners, refusing to dissipate. The next day, I visited the dorm supervisor, hoping to uncover something about the building's history. What I learned made my blood run cold. Decades ago, before it was converted to dorms, the building was part of an old hospital, a last stop for patients with nowhere else to go. And among those patients was an infamous local figure, a vagrant known for his disturbing laughter, who reportedly disappeared without a trace. His heavy boots were left in his room. I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but from that day on, I never stayed alone in that dorm.